You know, I've helped a lot of people move to Leander, Texas, and as someone who lives here and works here every single day, I've watched this relatively unknown city turn into really a hot button during the pandemic. There were so many people moving from out of state, and they thought Leander, Texas, it's just north of Austin. It must be kind of like Austin light. Well, not exactly. So in this video today, I'm going to pull back the curtain and let you know the real things that a lot of people probably wish that they would have known about Leander before making the decision to move here. So before you pack even a single box, make sure you watch through to the end of the video to learn a little bit more of the insider perspective about if Leander is or isn't a great fit for you. Hi, my name is Jordan Brown, and I help people just like you move to Central Texas every single week. If at any point you would like to reach out to me and get that personalized help with finding your perfect place here in the Central Texas area, I'd love the chance to just be a resource for you and earn your business. You can call me today at 512-337-3947. Now, what makes me an expert in Leander real estate? Well, one, I live here. I bought my first house in 2018 as a 26-year-old. And as a native Texan who grew up in rural Texas, I wanted kind of that more kind of small town feel, but still be by everything. That was really important to me. And also affordability. This city was a complete unknown, very under the radar. Then the pandemic happens, and all of a sudden it became the fastest growing city in all of Texas. And on the back of all that hype came a lot of changes. So long story short, I bought here in 2018. I've watched the city change so much over those last 7 years. And if I can make this video to help you have a better expectation as to what you're going to get when you're looking in Leander, that's all I can ask for. So without further ado, let's get into the video. First and foremost, let's get this out of the way. Leander is its own little universe. It is not Austin light. A lot of people just assume that Leander is northern Austin, but with more parking. No. Leander has grown to its true kind of standalone suburb. It has its own identity, conveniences, quirks, and pace. And you're definitely not in the city anymore. And for some of you, that's the whole point. But it does mean more space, different community vibe, and overall just different expectations for nightlife, amenities, and density. Do not move to Leander expecting downtown Austin vibes. The second thing that you should know is the commute is something you just have to grow to understand. Highway 183 is a tollway, but there's also Old 183, meaning there's two different options. There's the paid route and there's the free route. Both will get you from Leander to downtown Austin. However, they are drastically different. In my opinion, the toll road is a lifeline. You've got to use it or suffer. Old 183, which is what they call the free one, it can be a parking lot. Driving into Austin proper is going to vary wildly depending on the time of day that you're going and where specifically in Austin you're talking about. If you work in downtown, South Austin, or the Domain, those are completely different time frames, and the difference is dramatic. You need to understand that you're trading space and affordability for drive time. End of story. Number 3, schools are a huge draw, but they're not static. Leander ISD is one of the biggest reasons that people select this place to live and grow their families. I want to say it's the number 13 school district out of 800 plus school districts in Texas. So it's not without its problems, but this is a huge draw for families. But there is a catch. The district is massive. And because of the insane growth that we've had for the last decade, the zoning is constantly changing. New schools get built, boundaries shift, and what's true today may not be true 2 years from now. So if you're watching this and schools are a deciding factor for you, if it matters for your move, then I would highly suggest that you verify the campuses before falling in love with any listing. Number 4, Leander is growing fast. And I'm talking it feels like a new city every 5 years fast. The amount of new construction, the commercial developments, and master plan communities that are going in Leander right now are unreal. But what does this mean for someone that's looking at moving here? I cannot overstate this enough. There is so much happening right now that the city will be completely different by 2030. And as someone who bought in 2018, just 7 years later, here we are, and it looks completely unrecognizable. Every time my parents come and visit me, they're always like, what's that new thing over there, right? That wasn't there before. Things are going up crazy style here. I think about what it was like living here back in 2018. There was no convenience stores, there was no shopping, there was really no dining, no nothing. And if you compare Leander to Austin, you would still say, well, it still doesn't have all that. It absolutely does. It's just not on the scale that Austin does. But when you compare it to where it was to where it is now, it's night and day difference. There's all kinds of shopping strips lining 183 all the way down into Cedar Park. There are master plan communities just going in like crazy, which are giving some really great options for people who either want that convenience of the existing old Leander, or if you're okay with kind of being on the outskirts just a little bit, you may be able to get more bang for your buck with a new build home. I made a video not that long ago outlining 3 major developments that are happening in the North Austin suburbs. That includes some details about Northline in Leander, which is supposed to be the downtown district eventually. You can check that video out right over here. So here's what it means if you're looking at moving here. 1, constant construction. Just get used to it. It's going to be here for probably the next decade, if not longer. Number 2, traffic patterns change. As more people get here, it's just natural. Number 3, amenities evolve very, very fast. There's a lot that's happening right now. There's a lot that could still happen here that will completely change the face of the city. I mean, not that long ago, we just shot down an opportunity to get a resort style kind of surfing, like Blue Lagoon style attraction here. And that would have completely changed the identity of Leander. So these kind of projects are being floated. They're not always approved, but they are people are looking. Lastly, before we move on to our next point, is the things that feel far out today may be the hot spot in 3 to 4 years. I've watched, again, I'm in the northern tip of Leander, and there was absolutely nothing out here. And now, just a stone's throw away from my neighborhood, we have a Costco, and I want to say the world's largest Target is going in literally right by me. Who would have ever thought that that was happening in 2018? So don't get used to how things are right now. It is constantly changing and evolving. And if you're watching right now and you're someone who's wanting a sleepy town that's never going to change, this is not the one. This one's mainly for my out-of-staters who may be used to a certain kind of public transportation support that Leander just doesn't really have. I mean, we do have a metro rail, which does run to downtown Austin. And I think for a very specific type of commuter, that's going to work. But you just have to understand that it doesn't run super early. It doesn't run super late. And so things that may be convenient for you right now with your current transportation system, think groceries or kids activities, I wouldn't rely on the public transportation that we have in Leander for that. Everything is very, very spread out. Leander means car life. Number 6, Leander's vibe is suburban, outdoorsy, not urban trendy. I think there is a portion of people that move here and expect that some of Austin's weirdness is going to spill over into that northern suburb, right? Leander really has its own vibe and it has its own pace. The best way I can describe it is think community pools instead of rooftop bars, backyard barbecues instead of food truck crawls, although we do have some food trucks up here. The outdoor life is more like brushy creek trails instead of the wide open space of Zilker Park. And Leander is much, much more family centric than nightlife Austin. Outdoorsy, yes. Hipster artsy nightlife, not so much. Number 7, property taxes and HOA culture matter here. There are 2 things that people often underestimate whenever they're looking at Leander, Texas as a possible destination for them. We fall in Williamson County, and Williamson County typically has higher property taxes in general. Leander, especially because it's a lot of the properties that are in Leander were never thought that Leander was going to blow up to the size that it was. So we are in what's called a mud district. Basically, in short, what that means is that we get help from surrounding utility districts to be able to bring some of our utilities in, and therefore you pay higher taxes for that. But your property taxes can be a little bit spicy, especially in the new build neighborhoods. I do know of a few that are under 2%, but in general, your average property tax rate is going to be somewhere around 2.4 to 2.6. And secondly, most communities have an HOA, especially new ones. I don't know of many new build communities that don't have an HOA in Leander. And some are strict, some are lenient. It really just depends. If you're coming from somewhere and you have no idea what an HOA is, it's basically a homeowners association. They're responsible for things like the parks, the amenities, your pools, things like that. They also enforce regulations and kind of a standard for the houses and the way that they should look. So think of in non-HOA communities, it's more likely to see something like animals out front. I kid you not. I know some of you are laughing. You're like, what is this guy talking about? I've been to houses and showings in non-HOA neighborhoods where legit there were goats outside in the front yard, and that's perfectly legal if there's no HOA. I've also seen in non-HOA communities where there's broken down cars that are just kind of an eyesore, and you can't do anything about it if you're not an HOA. Some people love them, some people absolutely hate them here. So you need to understand, based on whatever your expectation is your house going to be in an HOA or not? Chances are, if you're looking in Leander, it's going to be. So you need to know that before you sign. This is kind of an unofficial, I'm going to end on this one. Leander is a bedroom city. And what I mean, that's a term that's given to cities where usually you're living here and you sleep here, but you're waking up and going to work somewhere else, or you're going to get your entertainment somewhere else. For example, we do not have a movie theater. There's not some major employer like Google or Amex or something like that is housed out of Leander, at least not yet. So therefore, a lot of our interest is people who come here but work elsewhere. And I will say it's not all bad. I love the slower pace of life that Leander offers, especially even though it's changed and it's gotten busier. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely gotten busier, but it's still nothing like Austin. I am not a big city person. That's just not my jam. And Leander gives me the balance that I'm looking for. I'm out enough where even our congestion for traffic is nothing like being on I-35 or in downtown Austin at peak hours. It's not even a comparison. I'm not going to take any slander down in the comments about what the traffic is like, because I'm convinced if that's the worst you've ever experienced, then you just haven't traveled much. So I'm far enough out that life is slower here. I love the more community feel that's here. And the conveniences are coming. As I mentioned, North Line might completely change, by adding this downtown aspect and this downtown district that's currently missing from Leander. But everything from your nightlife, I think if you're younger, you may deem that Leander's a little bit boring. I just look at it as it's more family oriented and less busy. So one, if you've watched until this point, thank you so much for watching the entire video. I hope that what this has done is put a local's perspective, an honest perspective about what you should expect when looking at Leander, Texas as a possible destination for you to live in. I think there's a lot of great things about living here. I think there's other communities that may be better fit for you depending on what your unique needs are. And I would love the opportunity to earn your business. If you're looking to relocate to Austin, Texas, or any of the surrounding suburbs, I would love the opportunity to help and be a resource for you and find that perfect fit. You can call me today at 512-337-3947. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.